Hello there, friends, family, Facebook acquaintances. Welcome to the You Are a Supermom book launch. And I am Gina Fontaine, of course, the author of You Are a Supermom. So I want to welcome you and let you know I'm going to be on live for a while. And during this time, it's going to be a celebration. Anybody who knows me knows that I love percussion and I love movement. And so fully expect that I'm going to be getting up and moving every once in a while. So if you're just joining me, just please know that I'm on StreamYard, streaming to you because I'm going to be bringing in guests. I'll be interviewing my publisher, Karen Kilgore. I will be also bringing in some interviews with moms who have read my book. So when you enter into this live, if you would do me a favor, please. And even if you're watching this recorded, because this will be up on my feed, but type in your name because all I can see is a little eyeball that says who's watching. So type in your name, say hello, and then I will be able to communicate with you. I've got my phone right next to me, so I can see comments coming in, but I might not see it right away. So I just wanted to tell you that I am absolutely thrilled to be launching this book today. It has not only been over a year journey since May of 2020 of actually writing the book, but it has been a journey through 18 years of motherhood as well. So being a mom, we hear this all the time, and it's one of my myths in my book that I talk about. People say being a mom is tough. Being a mom is exhausting. And you know what? It's in your mind. And a big part of this book, and I think one of my readers, and you'll see Lori's interview coming up later in the feed. And one of the readers, she said that her biggest takeaway was you taught me to recognize how I feel. And that is so important because we as moms, we tend to focus on the doing aspect of it. And I didn't do enough. And I just want to pause here and say, because I see a viewer on, if you wouldn't mind typing in the comments your name, just so you identify yourself. So it's so important as moms to get off what I call the treadmill of life, because otherwise you're just scurrying, running, trying to keep up all the time. And you know how that makes you feel. Like if you're running on a treadmill all day long, you're going to feel exhausted. And so this book, and here it is, this is my copy of the book, and you can see it's all marked up because even though I wrote this book, I constantly need reminders. Any guesses how many times I've read this book? Now, of course, some of these were edits that I read, but 8 times I have read this book. And every single time I am in awe, like, first of all, that I wrote this book. And second of all, that there is so much valuable content that maybe I practiced in the past, but it's so true. When we're shifting habits, when we're transforming, and I want to give you my definition of transformation is letting go, shedding all the layers of who you are until you become fully you. And I talk in the book about fullness, and I'm going to read just a brief part about fullness. And I have a whole piece in a chapter in the book, but here's the intro. I am a woman who understands and accepts her fullness. I have experienced the bliss of the birth of my 3 children, the horror of witnessing my former husband abuse our oldest child, and the trauma of parental alienation during the early days of my divorce. I come from a Midwestern family of 10 children. I am the youngest. I rose to the top of everything I did as a kid. Straight A's, best athlete. I aspired to be the greatest, and I saw huge success in my future. Yet when I found myself on welfare with a defiant child who was in and out of juvenile detention and dropped out of school after my divorce, I wondered where I went wrong. I embraced the good, the bad, and the ugly of my life experience, and I still stand proud to tell my story. That is what it is to live in fullness. And so when I say fullness, and welcome, I see there's 2 viewers, and I would just love it if you would, I know, a lot of you can only pop in, but just say hello, put your name in, because I'm on StreamYard and I can't see who it is. I can look over at my phone here, but it's just a juggling act. So please type, say, hi, Gina, it's Lori. Hi, Gina, it's, and I would love to say hi to you. So living in fullness. And I was just before talking about transformation being a shedding. In our culture, we tend to think we always have to heal, fix, and change everything, right? Oh, I got to go take a pill. Oh, I got to go, get some massage or chiropractic. And all that stuff is great and good for maintenance. But at the end of the day, we apply our sort of manic Americanism. I just made up a term, manic Americanism. And yes, I'm wearing my Supermom persona today. So I thought that would be fun. But we always think we have to do to fix it, to change it. And real transformation, I'm just here to tell you, is not needing to be healed, fixed, or changed. And not that many people are saying that right now. Like most people are like, go get something, put something in your body, make yourself healthy. And I do have my practices. I have my great clean water that I drink, and I have my electromagnetic therapy that I do twice a day. And I look at that as enhancing what already is, being in my fullness. And so how many of you out there, maybe you're a mom, maybe you're not, but how many of you question, am I doing it right? Am I doing it right as a mom? Am I doing it right as a husband? Am I doing it right as a daughter? I mean, we have so many roles in our life. And the thing that has really touched me, as I had 50 people read the book ahead of time, and as those reviews come back, the thing that really strikes me is not all these people were moms that read the book. And yet they still found value in reading it. And that tells me that there is an essential nurturer in every single one of us, even men. And we are entering into a time where, I'm going to get a little woo-woo on you for just 1 second, where the divine feminine is rising. And there is a necessary balance, because you can't deny that we have lived in a patriarchal society for some time. And all I'm saying, and it's not a feminist statement, it's just that women are stepping into their fullness and rising in their true power. And so are men. Men are welcoming in this idea of receiving. That is the divine feminine, is receiving and realizing that we do too much. All right. So who's here? Because I'd love to know that, so you're not just an eyeball with a 3. That's all I can see. So say hello, because I know Facebook Live isn't terribly interactive, and I would just love to have some interactive, like type a comment, like I read your book, or I'm so excited to get your book. And so by the way, the book is available on Amazon. So you can grab your copy today. And I want to share with you my goal and my vision. So the goal and the vision, I'm going to just type in real quick and post a banner so I can keep tabs on what I'm talking about. All right. So my goal and my vision with this book is, is to get this book into the hands of 1 million moms. And I said that from the get-go. And I knew that was a humongous, ridiculous goal. And it's not because Gina Fontaine wants to be in the limelight. It's because Gina Fontaine knows that moms are not doing themselves right, that we are overworked, we are doing too much. at the detriment to our health and well-being. And if you don't know already, I am a health and wellness professional, have been for going on 27 years. It's very important to me that we create a culture of health because why? Why? Because health is your greatest wealth. And if that didn't become more abundantly clear to us in the last year and a half, it's just like we all need to wake up to this reality that we are strong, we are healthy, we are well. And we cannot operate in our full essence when we are going into overdrive every single day, because you know what that leads to? It leads to burnout, right? And burnout is a real thing that I think shows up in a lot of different ways. It might feel like exhaustion. It might feel like you can't catch your breath. It might be like early signs of diabetes. You're maybe 35 and your doctor is saying, oh, we need to get this under control. So I'm saying, let's take the reins and actually let go and let health be our standard. Because you know what, mama and dada, if you're not healthy and well, what can you do for your kids, right? So in terms of putting yourself first, I have heard from many people, my former spouse included in that you are so selfish. And I'm starting to embrace that maybe being selfish isn't so bad, because when I put myself first and take care of my needs, I show up stronger and even better for those that I love. So in my book, I outline 5 myths. And myth number 1 is good moms put their kids' needs first. And how could that possibly be a myth, Gina? Because that's what moms do, right? They put everybody else, the dog, their spouse, the kids, the school, work. They put everybody else first. And then finally, at the end of the day, usually we collapse and say, wow, I can't believe all that I did. And on that list of things to do, how much time was spent on you? On that list of things to do, how much time was spent on you? That's a good question to ask yourself every single day. How much time? So today, that's my challenge to you, is just keep track. How much time did you put into your self-care? How much time in your mind was spent loving on you? And that's a really important key point, is it's not just a physical self-care, but are you beating yourself up because, dang it, I didn't do it again. Oh, I ate that piece of chocolate cake. I got up in the middle of the night and binged again. Or can you love that person even in your perceived imperfection? If you behold and embrace instead of scorn and, try to cut away that addiction or cut away that triggered response, that trauma response that might be buried in you, can you wrap your arms around those parts of yourselves that are so hard to embrace? Can you do that? Try it just for today, because I'm going to hide that, because that is truly the greatest gift you can give to yourself. If you can first give yourself the love, you will be better able to give it to others. It's just a standard truth. And yes, there is the love your neighbor as yourself. Like, that's one of the commandments. And if you don't love yourself, like if you are bashing yourself, which so many women, don't we do that? Like, why do we do that? It's not good for our health. And so look at your thoughts. And that is also, I believe it's myth number 3. I'm jumping ahead, but shifting your mindset. Like I started off today saying, gosh, being a mom is tough. But what if you shifted your mindset and every day said, being a mom is exciting, right? Being a mom is thrilling. You're going to start to show up and look for evidence that is true. But if you go around telling everybody how chaotic your life is and how exhausted you are, guess what? You're going to attract in all the opportunities that exhaust you. You're going to find evidence everywhere around you that, you know, I'm exhausted and I'm stressed, and here's why. So that's actually myth number 3 of my myths. So being a mom is tough. There are 5 myths in the book, and I debunk them all. This is the book, You Are a Supermom, and it is available on Amazon today. So if you just go into Amazon and put You Are a Supermom in your search, it should come right up, probably under a coffee cup or a t-shirt. Some kind of product will come up, but just go one down from that, and the book is there. And I'm actually going to share my screen right now just so you can see what it looks like, so you know you're on the right page. So, all right, here we go. Share the screen, and you might see my other tabs too. So here is You Are a Supermom, and I think it's really thrilling to me that there are already reviews. So, oh, I don't think it's showing up right. Okay. Well, I'm going to stop that share. Gina is experimenting. Yep. All right. Here we go. I'm going to stop that share and come back to you. So it is on Amazon and Barnes & Noble as well. And buy your copy today, and buy one for your sister, your friend. And I'm not saying so in a pleading, begging sort of way, but read the reviews. The reviews speak for themselves. People are finding value whether they are moms or not. And I will point out one review that went in was from a practitioner who works with women in her practice. And she is, I know she's not married, or I think she's married but doesn't have kids. And yet she sees the value in recommending this to her hypnofertility clients who are moms, you know, aspiring to be. So there are threads for everyone to pull from and grab something valuable from the book. So it's coming up on 8:20, and I just wanted to let you know I do have a mom coming on to interview with me live at 8:30 a.m. And this is a mom who she was one of my pre-readers. I did have people read the book ahead of time, help me catch edits. And so Diane is her name, and she's going to be coming on live with me at 8:30 in the morning. And so I see there's 3 viewers, and I just also wanted to comment because I do have my phone on, but I cannot necessarily see who's here watching with me. So let's see, I see Christy dropped in, and there's a Doris Wilson. Oh, yay, now there's comments. I can look. All right, so Dorothy was here, and I got to turn this down.
She's Diane is her name, and she's going to be coming on live with
Gosh,
me.
you guys, sorry, I know this is probably weird. So I'm trying to navigate the 2 technologies.
Hold on, but I cannot necessarily see who's here watching.
I got to scroll past that. Okay, so I know that you can also get on StreamYard and authorize so that I can see your comments popping up on StreamYard, because I'm trying to multitask, which, okay, might as well put it up there. Myth number 2. Okay, I'm giving away. Myth number 2, moms are master multitaskers. So this mom is trying to multitask right now, having her feed up on her phone right here. And you know what? It's not going so well because I don't know how to cut the sound on it. And I know you're getting reverb. Moms are master top multitaskers. I lived this for so long. How many of you, raise your hand, put a comment in, how many of you have tried to be a multitasker, or you pride yourself like, I am such a good master multitasker? I did that to my mental detriment. and so here's a fact, okay? Our brains are only capable of focusing on one meaningful task at a time, okay? One meaningful, and so, you can fold laundry and watch TV. Those are not like meaningful tasks, but me broadcasting to you and trying to comment over here on my phone is a great example of you can't do it. I need to have an assistant, but I don't have an assistant. One day, very soon, I'm going to have an assistant. So if you're here, drop a comment, and just so I know who was here, and at a certain point, I'll go in and respond to your comments. But I do want to let you know that if you want to get a copy, and you have just been waiting, I know some of you pre-ordered and already got your orders in, but you have just been waiting for this day, go ahead, go on over to Amazon, and You Are a Supermom in the search. It's pretty easy to find. It'll pop right up. And I wanted to share with you last week, much to my surprise, I think it was last week or the week before, the book went up before it was supposed to, actually, a week early. And I had this surprise message from my publisher that my book reached number one. It reached number one on the single parenting category. Wow. I had an email, and it, 7:30 in the morning, the first thing I saw was your book hit number one on single parenting. Wow. And wait, we didn't launch yet, did we? Oh, I went into Amazon, and it was up and ready to go for pre-order. So how exciting was that? And I am a single mom. So if you're not familiar with my background, just a little background, I have 3 children, and it's coming up on 25. So Diane's going to be in 5 minutes. But these are my 3 kiddos right here. Miles is in the center, and then Ian is the younger boy in Vienna. And I am a single mom. I left my marriage coming up on almost 4 years since the divorce was final. And I got to tell you, I could go around every day and say being a single mom is tough. At the very first, the get-go, trying to manage a household that was previously run by 2 adults, I absolutely had to let tasks go, and I had to let responsibilities go for my own survival, because I lived by the opposite of myth number 1, that I had to put myself first and fill myself up so that I could get through some really, really challenging times. If any of you have, if you've been in a situation where you've been in an abusive situation, which I was, I'll just come right out and say it, verbally abusive, never feeling like I could show up in my brightest light, feeling like I had to dim myself down before I went to my home. And now, almost 5 years later since I initially left the marriage, to feel like, oh, the champion mom is rising to the surface again. That woman who was the overachiever as a kid. Because I'm going to tell you, when I was in grade school, it was always, I'm going to get straight A's. I'm going to be the best of everything, award-winning. Same thing in high school, pretty much same thing in college. And so when my life literally, I'm on welfare, I'm going to food banks to get food, I'm choosing to pay my mortgage over, life necessities, because I knew it was important to keep a roof over my children's head. Those are hard decisions to make, right? And I felt like I was dying at certain points. In the span of 2 weeks, I lost 20 pounds. This was right after I left the marriage. I physically could not eat. But I knew that somehow, some way, I had to find a way to fill myself up. And I share those with you because I've lived it, I've thrived through it, and I know that people who know me will read this book and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe she was going through all that. And I wasn't just going through it, I was rising above it. And it every day felt like climbing a mountain and rolling a rock up it, and that rock would just repeatedly come down. But you know what a champion does? She keeps getting up and pushing it up and pushing it up. So today I celebrate, because today I rise to the top of the peak, and I share this book with the world because I was out there struggling and moving mountains long before the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic came, it was like, okay, yeah, that's going on, but I have this turmoil and chaos, this oldest son who's depressed and not getting out of bed, not going to school, and suicidal. That was my world when everybody was on lockdown. You can read about it in the book. And so I have risen and I'm here. Like, I'm here and I'm a beacon and I am shining for all of you that are in struggle, in chaos, in pandemonium, overwhelm. I feel you. Moms, this has been a just unprecedented. You've heard that word all the time, but I'm telling you, my mother, she raised 10 children and that's really hard. But when we were in lockdown, she said to me, I asked her the question, would you, if given the choice, would you rather, go back, have 10 kids, raise them, or have 2 children during times of the pandemic? And you know what? There was an instantaneous response. Oh, yeah, I'd go back and have those 10 kids all over again. And yeah, believe me, that was difficult times for her. And for her to say that and realize, oh, wow, I have 3 kids and we're all in lockdown. And I know you all have been there too, trying to homeschool, maybe run a business, maybe work from home, keep up with all the responsibilities of life. Wow. It was enough to bring every single person, every single mother in the world to her knees. And yet we kept going. We kept doing it. We kept.
Hello and welcome.
Sorry, guys. I'm trying to multitask, and I'm just proving myth number 2 is right. You can't do it. So I'm just going to suffice it to say that I see that there's 4 viewers, and I just want to say welcome and thank you for your support. And type questions, type comments below, and I will try to keep up with those after the broadcast. I'm waiting because at 8:30, Diane is going to be coming in, and I have a live interview with her. She was one of my pre-readers. Excuse me. In the meantime, if you have not already had a chance to pick up your copy of You Are a Supermom, you can hop over to Amazon. Yeah, and I'm just writing that the best I can, because again, I'm multitasking and it doesn't work. So if you have questions about the book, the writing process, anything at all, please put in the comments below any questions that you might have. I also wanted to mention for the moms out there, I am going to be offering a free masterclass, and that masterclass is going to be the week of September 27th. Okay. And what am I going to do in that masterclass? I will be doing 4 videos, and I will be talking about the one big overarching thing that prevents you from feeling or being a supermom, feeling like a supermom. So the name of the masterclass is How to Feel, or it's just Feel Like a Supermom During Challenging Times. And it can really feel like the whole world is crushing you down when you are, I mean, in my situation, you can read about it, where my kids were literally rebelling against me, like throwing things at me. I'd be driving and somebody would be angry at me and take off their shoe and throw it at me. I mean, kids can be very, very challenging, right? And when you have, a co-parenting situation where the other parent is, sending negative feedback your way to the kids, it's really hard to stand in your truth and be who you are. And that was my uphill battle. And you know what? I got through it because of love. Love is everything. Even when what you're letting in, and you have to decide what to let in, and just say, you know what, that's not my stuff. Because here's a quote for you: hurt people hurt people. And once you can realize and just say, you know what, they're hurting, and I'm not going to let that in, it changes everything. So I'm going to check my my messenger to see
Supermom book launch.
Because I'm supposed to have a guest coming on, and she's on backstage. I'm going to invite her in. So because I had to use a different feed. So let me do that. I'm going to invite Diane on. And just let me do that really quick here. And stay tuned for a interview that's coming on right now. I'm inviting Diane into the broadcast room right now. So if you're there, it's coming. All right, so stick with me. I've got Diane coming in to join us on the stream. And I will be interviewing her about her experience of reading You Are a Supermom. And Diane is a single mom, just to give you just a brief background. And we'll just wait for her to come on. So in the meantime, excuse me, in the meantime, if you're just stepping into this live feed, I'm Gina Fontaine, of course, the author of You Are a Supermom. And I'm excited to today launch this book. It's on Amazon. My invitation to you is, if what I've been talking about resonates with you, share it with a friend, share it with a coworker. Diane is here, so I'm going to welcome her in and help spread this message of self-care and self-love. So Diane,
good morning.
Hi, Diane is here, and I am so grateful to Diane for agreeing. And I'm realizing here, I'm the wellness professional, and I didn't put a water bottle next to me. So I'm going to be walking over there to grab my water in just a second. But excuse me, since we have some viewers, I wanted to take the opportunity to introduce Diane. And I did share with them that Diane is a single mom. And I would love to hear more about you, Diane, and just share with our viewers your background, what you do for a living, and just so they know something about you.
All righty. Well, I'm similar to Gina. Trainer and a massage therapist. I've been doing that for 30 years, and I was married for a very long time, and I am now a single mother. So I'm for ways to find all the things that Gina has written about.
Thank you, Diane. And I did get I got my water, so I'm gonna put this back to. See, I'm learning about all this stuff now. I can go back. So you were on solo. Now we're back together. So Diane read the book ahead of time. She was one of the advanced readers. I mentioned that I had several advanced readers. And so I wanted to ask Diane, what was one of your biggest takeaways from reading You Are a Supermom?
You know, there was a lot of takeaways, but, I think one of the big ones is control. And I think as a chaotic mother, I was always trying to control everything, everything. And, that doesn't bring after reading through the book, I realized I have control, but it's a different control, which is over myself. And that, gave me more power to realize that I can change the situation that I have that are stressing me out and causing the chaos. And so the control is starting to shift from making sure micromanaging everything into trying to control myself and letting go and my feelings and striving for that more peace in daily living.
Yeah, I love that, because that's really, myth number 5 is moms do it all. And that's the one where I talk about letting go of control.
Right.
And would you say that's a very difficult thing to do.
Absolutely. Especially when, you're a high charged person and, most mothers I know, they are not slugs. You know what I mean? They're involved with
Right.
aspect of every part of the life. And then we find ourselves in this position of, needing to back off.
Yeah. And there's just every once in a while, there's a little breakup in our feed. So just to let you know that, yeah, moms are not slugs. that is a truth. So I also wanted to know, like in terms, because I give a lot of tools and tips in the book, is there anything that you took away that something that you're implementing or more conscious of after reading the book?
Oh, I love that. I love the 3 thing, I call it, where you choose 3 priorities for your day. Because, I wake up, and I know this is similar to many people. I wake up with a million things that I want to accomplish that day. And then I end up running around crazy all day long. And I know I was busy, but I ended up at the end of the day wondering, what did I accomplish? So by actually writing them down, defining them, taking that few minutes in the morning and saying, okay, these are the 3 things that I want to make sure that I get done. And then I can do them because it's only 3. And then the bonus at the end of the day is I'm not still as frazzled wondering, what did I do today? Because I know I got those 3 important things done. And I don't know, that makes me feel really good.
Right. And it's that going back to that I am enough. This feeling of, if I do just these 3 things today, and on a day, it might be, I'm going to hug each of my kids today, or I'm going to spend, 5 minutes with each child dedicated a day. That can be on your 3 big tasks day, because it really, I talk about feel, like the feel part. How do you want to feel
Right
at the end of the day? Is that, versus looking at your checklist and saying, okay, I got it all done. Well, if at the end of the day you felt stressed and frazzled, was it worth it? And, so yeah, that's what I hear you saying, like, take some things off your plate, right?
Yeah. And don't worry about that, because, the busyness will still happen within, but at least I know that it is a big satisfaction. I set out to do those things, do them. And, one thing I wanted to mention too, and sometimes the bath. I remember at one point in the book, you had a million things to do, and you realized you just needed to take a bath at 2:00 in the afternoon. And, empowering things to have that be on the list, I mean, that's actually kind of like my number 4, because if I feel, I leave that gap for myself, feel that stress and overwhelmingness, that it's okay to just chill out and just do something like that for myself.
Yeah, very, very good point. So I'm speaking with Diane if you're just joining the feed, and she was one of the pre-readers. And Diane, since you have read the book, and if you were recommending this book to a friend or a family member, what would you say to them to summarize the book?
Well, there's a lot of things to say, but I mean, when you know your friends and you watch them struggle, and you're on the phone and you're complaining about your busy life, now I have a tool that I can help along with them. Something that firsthand that I took a look at it myself. I took it seriously, because it's something I wanted to do. And I think whether my friends or the other women know they need it or not, just to be able to have that tool to say, hey, here's a guidebook that's like everything that you're struggling with. And, and just knowing that we're not alone, the way you encompass it with so many different types of women, it's universal. It's not just I'm having a rough day and you're having a rough day. Pretty much. Have you ever met a woman that said everything's great and I'm not really stressed out about my family and being a mother? I mean, unfortunately, I haven't, but this book is pushing us in the direction of being able to say that more.
Yeah. And to say that, and also say, and I love that about myself. I love, and even when we're shifting habits, like saying, I love that I'm still a busy bee. And I also love that I'm aware that I'm trying to be mindful of shifting that habit. It's all the Beatles had it right. And all you need is love. and it's, that's the main thing I think I hear you saying, Diane, is like, you you always hear moms like bashing themselves because they didn't get enough done, or they, fell short in some sort of way. But when we can lovingly embrace ourselves as moms and say, I did enough, I am enough, it shifts our kids just by our presence of being accepting and loving of ourselves.
And I can notice that implementing some of the things, just letting go of the control a little bit more, getting more back. The things that I was trying to control and the things that I wanted, once I back off, I find that my son is doing more of those things without me trying to control him, control all the situation. One other thing I wanted to mention that you had mentioned also was the expectation, because I don't know what generation, you're a little younger than me, but, we're coming from being raised in the 60s and 70s when the mothers were the end all be all, and then carried those expectations of being that perfect mother. And this is what a mother has to do. But, we've evolved into different times now that we can't expect that from ourselves. And we can't expect that from the people in our family because it's just a different world. So, just all the awareness of all those different components is really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And I love that. My mother had 10 children. And so she started having babies in 1958. I was the last one in 1974. But I see these photos of her in the 60s, and she had her perfectly coiffed hair and her pearl necklace and her dress and high heels and 5 children crawling over her. And like, wow, but that was the standard then, it was like,
right. Well, and I think women of that day were not empowered to take care of themselves. You know what I mean? They had to do the beaver cleaver mother thing, and then it's been a period of decades to come to where you're encouraging mothers to put ourselves first and take care of ourselves, and we deserve that.
Yes.
And it doesn't take away from any of the other Supermom busy stuff that we do. It just adds to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Yes. Be more, not do more, be more today. Yeah. So Diane, I want to thank you so much for jumping on with me this morning for the book launch. And thank you for being on the pre-reader team. And thank you for sharing your valuable feedback about You Are a Supermom. And I am going to let you say any parting words. I forgot to ask you, what is your superpower as a mom?
I've been struggling with that question, but I guess I think my superpower would be my willingness to be a supermom, to be more peaceful supermom, and just being open to, the change and just evolving into that. I'll take that one for now.
I love that. All right. Well, thank you so much. And have a wonderful day. And I'm going to be staying on here. So if you're on live, I have another interview coming up, but feel free to exit the studio, Diane, and thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. So I'm back with you, Gina Fontaine, on book launch day. It's all about fun and celebration. And I have a recorded interview that I want to share with you next. The interview, I did it yesterday. So there is a little bit of, I hope this works because I'm sharing the screen, and I hope the sound and everything, I think that should stream through. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to look on my phone. If the sound and everything does not come through appropriately, because I have a microphone plugged into my laptop. Would you let me know in the comments, just so I'm not streaming nothing? So this interview, just to give you some background, is with Lori. She is a mother of 2 middle school children, and she was also on my pre-reader team, and she shares her insights about reading the book. And I love how she talks about the takeaway being, I am going to focus on how I feel at the end of the day instead of how much I did. Because isn't that so true, moms? Like we have this sense of accomplishment, like we brag about, look I did 20 things today. Woo-hoo-hoo. But what if the accomplishment at the end of the day was, I went the whole day without feeling stressed? whoa, that to me is so much more impressive than I did 20 things. So let me bring this up and share my screen. And here we go. I have it up on YouTube. All right, so let me grab my Chrome tab and let's get this review going. So here we go. I'm going to play that. And again, let me know if you cannot hear it. All right, I am here with Lori Gray, and she is going to talk to us about her experience of reading You Are a Supermom. She was on the advanced reader team for the book, and I'm grateful that you did that, Lori. Can you tell us a little about yourself and also your family?
Sure. So I have two kiddos who are in middle school right now, and I am a therapist. I work with teens and adults. So You Are a Supermom was coming at just the right time for me. I was so blessed to be able to be one of the advanced readers. When you asked me, Gina, I was like, yes, put me on that list. I want to read that right away. Middle school is tough. Those are tough years. And we're a very busy family. We do a lot of things. My kids are both involved in lots of different activities. I like to be involved in lots of activities. So it becomes a lot when everything feels really important. So this book was a really great reminder of how to kind of hone in on the things that are really important to you and your family.
Yeah, well, and you say that like there's just so many activities, and it probably takes up a lot of your time. What are some of your other biggest challenges besides fitting it all in as a mom?
Well, the big one, the most common one, I think with a lot of moms, is the being good enough. Am I doing it right? Am I doing it good enough? How's this going to impact them, down the road? Could I do it better? Should I be doing it better? All those questions that run through our minds about, how we can take the best possible care of our kiddos. But we're also human and have feelings and emotions that come up out of nowhere. So, yeah, it's a tough question to come back to over and over again. That question of, am I good enough?
Yeah, am I doing it right? Yes, and questioning it. I hear that all over the place. And myself included, I'm in that boat too. Of gosh, I hope I'm not putting my kids into therapy for the rest of their lives for my inadequacy. So, are there particular things from the book that you read that resonated with you or you found helpful?
So many things, Gina. So
Oh,
many things that resonated with me. One, I really loved how you brought up burnout and how exhausting it is. I think it can be easy to minimize as a mom how much work we put into our life. Whether it's working or being at home with kids or both, a combination of two, running around. So that burnout is a really big factor that is easy to push aside. So figuring out how we take care of ourselves. And the one question that I keep coming back to now after reading the book is, how do you want to feel? How do you want us to feel? Not what do I want to do, or what do I want to get done? How many more things are on my list? And that question is one that I ask myself a lot now. And when it comes to the kids, like I'm still going to get upset. We're going to get into arguments. And so it might take a little longer for me to get to that question of, wait, how do I want this to feel? But I mean, it's really set a whole new framework for how I look at relating with my family when it comes to figuring out the hard things.
Yeah, that is so powerful. And it's like peace is our greatest superpower. And I find like when I start spiraling off into what do I want to do? It's like, oh, wait a minute. Come back to.
You feel so unsatisfied. You can get all those things done, but if you're not feeling the way you want to feel, whether it's in your relationship with somebody or in like how you feel in your house, you're missing the bigger picture. I can have a clean house, but if I haven't gotten to the project or the time with my kid or the time with my husband, then I'm not going to feel great about it.
Right. Yes. And there's a quote from the book that said, "Is it worth losing my peace for?" And sometimes, it's like you also hear choose your battles, especially with middle schoolers and high schoolers of, like, when can you just put your hands off and say, you know what, it's not worth losing my peace for. I'm going to keep myself calm instead of going into that, what I call authoritarian or monster mom mode, where you're, being like the angry cop or something. So.
Right. And when we can honor being at our best, we're modeling that for our kids. And that's really important for them to see.
Yeah, to see us in our calm, in our peace. Yeah. So you had some takeaways from the book. What would you say to a friend or a colleague if you were recommending the book? What would you tell them?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. Well, one, I love that there's like little tips in there in each of the chapters. Like, it's nice to be able to drill it down to a couple of key takeaways. I find that to be really helpful. I can write those down and put them somewhere for later. The other piece that I think is so nice is it's so real. It's so just raw, and sharing your experience, Gina. We can tend to hide behind that veneer of like how we're supposed to be in the world. And when we can connect with each other on a real level where we're just being open and honest, I think it can change the way that we look at ourselves too. So I'm definitely recommending this to a couple of my friends. I'm going to send a couple copies to my friends as well, so that they can read it and just take from it whatever is helpful for them. We all have a different takeaway, but women should share their stories. Everybody should share their stories. So I like sharing that with my friends. Yes,
thank you. Yeah, because I think we've all, as parents, read, like this respected parenting expert's book. And honestly, if they haven't been in the trenches experiencing, there might be some theory, which you're probably very familiar with, but if it's all just theory, it just doesn't, I can't connect with it as a mom. So
there might be some theory, which you're probably very
mistakes and our failures and the things that didn't go well, as much as my successes and our accomplishments.
Yeah. So I have one final question, and that is, what is your superpower as a mom?
Oh gosh, I think what I come back to is just presence, trying to be with and slow down and take time to listen and to hear what my kids have to say. I think that's my superpower.
Awesome. Presence is power. Awesome. Well, I so thank you. This is Lori Gray, one of the advanced readers of You Are a Supermom, and I appreciate you sharing your insight and feedback on the book.
I appreciate you putting this out in the world. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. All right. Thanks to Lori for that. And thank you for watching and listening to that interview with Lori. Coming up at 9, if all goes well, Karen Kilgore, my publisher of Quantum Shift Media, will be in the broadcast room with me. I've sent her an invitation. And, as with technology, there can be glitches. I think there was one point where my phone was reverbing in that video. So my apologies for that. But welcome to the You Are a Supermom book launch. And I did put in the comments, I put a link to the Amazon page where you can purchase a copy for yourself, for your best friend, for your mom. I mean, I am amazed at, I saw Marianne was in earlier. I don't know if you're still here, Marianne, but Marianne, it's a great grandmother, and she was on my pre-reader team as well. And she is a super great grandma, and she read the book and found value in how she could interact with her great grandchildren. And she posted some comments. Actually, I put a quote last week from her, and it just warms my heart to know that I wrote this book for moms, but it is resonating even with fathers. It's resonating with great grandmothers. And so thank you so much for the team of people that read. I will do another thank you message out there so you can see who it was. And let's see, I'm looking at the time, and let me stop sharing. I think that should help. Okay, so as I said, Karen Kilgore is my publisher, and I'm waiting for her to come into the broadcast room so that I can interview her, and she can offer the perspective of really the person in the editing process. I mean, I'm going to tell you a little story about how did You Are a Supermom come to be. So, I mean, I've put this story in a lot of different places, but I never intended, I didn't set out to write a book. I just was doing self-care during the pandemic and going out on daily walks. And I would literally take my phone out and put it on voice record, and I would just talk and talk through some really difficult stuff. I mean, this was after the time that I had sent my son to be in juvenile detention. He had, he has a lot of issues of being a victim of abuse. And so here my son was in juvenile detention. It was times of the pandemic, so visits were not allowed. Furthermore, the DA had said that I, had to have a restraining order, so I couldn't be in contact with him anyways. And I'm going crazy, literally going crazy. I'm gonna take a drink of water. And so the only place I had to put, excuse me, my emotions was in that voice recorder. And I would go home and listen to it, and I'm like, wow, there's some really good stuff in here. And so I would put on my headphones and transcribe. Excuse me. And I had a friend living with me at the time. She happened to be a copy editor, and she read the material and said, Gina, this is gold. You need to run with this. And so we sat down and we made an outline. That was where the 5 myths were born. And then we started creating the vision of, okay, so where do you want this to be? Well, naturally, Oprah's book club was number one. And then it was, who do you want to read this? And so I started, listing my dreams and knowing that this needed to land in the hands of as many moms throughout the world as possible. Why? Because I don't want anybody, any mom, any dad for that matter, to have to go through the experiences, the struggles that I went through. If I can help move you through, over your obstacles with ease by sharing my story and the tools and the tips that I used to get through, I can say, and this is all truth, in those 5 years, never a single day sick. Here comes Karen. I always showed up. So I'll continue my story, but I want to bring Karen in. She is here. So let me grab her. Hello, Karen.
Hi, Gina. Congratulations.
Thank you. So happy. I'm in my Supermom attire. So I just thought, you know what? I haven't worn this since the photo shoot that I did in March. And you asked me, are you going to wear your Supermom costume to the in-person launch? And I said, well, no. But then I thought, oh, I can wear it to my online launch.
So, you look great. And so
thank
congratulations. You. I woke up thinking about this and I'm just so excited.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, this is so good. So good. I'm so excited about it. And very proud of you. You've done such a good job with this, getting this launched, written it. Oh my gosh. So yeah, good.
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about? I've got some questions to ask you.
Oh, wonderful. I'm wondering, is my voice reverbing back, or does it sound echoey?
Okay. Great. Yeah, you sound just great. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure because I'm getting a little feedback on my end. Yeah. I wanted to, just a proper introduction that Karen Kilgore is the owner of Quantum Shift Media. And she is the one who is responsible for the book cover that I get so many compliments on, the beautiful book cover. And I do want to give a shout out to Jennifer McNiven, who did the photography on those pictures. And I mean, you have been sort of the push when I needed a push. And this publication process has been, it hasn't been free of bumps, because right in the midst of it, I injured my knee, had to go in and have surgery. And it was just like, wow, why is all this happening? And Karen's been very understanding along the way to, keep the project moving, even when I was feeling like, oh, I don't know if I can make it to the finish line. So thank you, Karen. And I want to point out one amazing fact, if I can share, about your background a little bit with fostering kids. So when I came to Karen with this project, and she did a book analysis for me back in, I think, maybe March, because I didn't know, like, if this was really publishable. I just thought, this is just my story, and it's drama, and people probably don't want to hear drama right now in the times of pandemic. And so she did the book assessment, read a couple of chapters. And what did you come back and say to me, Karen?
It was like this. I said, Gina, you've got to do this. The tools that you're giving people are so valuable, and you can save moms a world of hurt and time and stress, because they're living under expectations of having to do everything perfect. And what you are giving them in this book is practical, easy, and so good. And so, yes, you got to publish this. Really.
Well, and thank you, because I was at a point where I was, I think I was getting ready to sell my house, and it just felt like there was so much coming onto my plate that it was like, oh, this would just be one more thing. But I knew that I was like, okay, that was the green light right there. And then when we finally then decided, okay, let's move forward with the whole publication. And I remember coming, to your home, and you shared with me that this story was resonating with you because you had fostered how many children have you and your husband fostered?
I had 26 foster kids, all teenagers. They were all teenagers.
Wow.
And so as I was reading your story and listening to some of the things that you were dealing with, a lot of that was coming up for me. And I thought, I wished I had had these tools way earlier, years, 15 years ago. And that's one of the things that was so valuable to me, because moms, it's hard. Being a mom is hard. It's a lot, and you have to make
that's one of my myths, isn't it?
That's one of your myths.
That's one of my myths,
yeah. And so you really, and so it can be so much easier. You don't have so many expectations on you. And that's one of the beautiful things about this book. So yeah, I wished I'd had that when I'd had all these foster kids. So, and teenagers, middle school probably is the hardest age, because they're struggling so much with their identity and peer pressure and whatnot. And so, yeah, you've done a beautiful job. You really have. This has been, I'm very proud of you, very proud of this book. I really am.
Oh, thank you. I
really am. No kidding. It was a privilege working with you. And yes, seeing the struggles. I mean, writing a book is not easy. It's not, it is you have to really be committed, because it gets hard. But then everything that's worthwhile is hard. I don't know anything that we do, building a business, having a baby, whatever, buying a house, everything major that you do is got some resistance and some hard points that you have to press through. And you really did. You pressed through so beautifully. And,
thank you.
And there were some hard, you're selling your house, and the end of your knee, that was terrible. And then, but then it kind of gave you some time to really work on it, because you couldn't move anywhere.
Exactly. Well, the timing of when you handed, the edit to me, I had just gotten out of the hospital and was like, okay, I guess I know what project I have sitting before, literally sitting before me. It's funny how we always get what we need, not necessarily what we want. And I truly one of my things I say is slowing down is the new fitness. And it was almost like, you know, the universe was like yanking me down and saying, okay, like you think you're slowed down, but we're really going to like turn the engine revolutions down. And turned out it always, you can look back and say it was a blessing in retrospect. So.
Well, and one of my favorite things was seeing how I would give you a suggestion on something, you know, an idea, and to see where you took it was so creative and so much more expansive. It was just, I love that. So you really took to heart some of the editorial suggestions I was giving, and made it just so much better.
Yeah. And one thing Karen does as part of her writing coaching is she hosts groups where, you know, we get together. And so I did that group when I was, you know, still pushing to get to the finish line and just needed that somebody behind me to say, yep, keep going. And so we would gather as a group, I think for 2 hours, we gather.
2 hours at a time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we're all writing, and we, you know, check in every 15 minutes and just, you know, see if there's any questions or prompts needed. And I found that so helpful, because sometimes Karen would just ask a question and then I'd be off on 30 minutes of writing just from that prompt.
Good. Yeah, that's good. That's great. Thank you. And yes, I love the writing workshops. I'm still doing them. I do them all the time. And yeah, they're very helpful. I have people pop in for just a couple hours writing a blog or writing a chapter, or revising their book, or, you know, doing social media to promote something. So the writing workshops are really, they're very helpful. They're helpful to me.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
And if there's any aspiring authors out there that are watching, you know, and you have questions, I don't have my phone on. I decided that multitasking wasn't working, like trying to answer comments and broadcast. So, but if you have questions for Karen and you pop them in the comments, we can address those, and I can forward them to Karen. And Karen, you said you had questions for me. So
I wanted to
give you the floor.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, what did you like most about the publishing process?
I like to be stretched. I like to feel myself expand. That's something I say all the time is, you know, grow, get big, expand. It's something like you have to open yourself. And you know, at times you would send me emails like, okay, here's all the things you have to do for a successful launch, or here. And I'm like, I can't post on social media every day. I can't do that. But it stretched me, you know, and I found myself expanding into that container and realizing, wow, I really can do this. And it was simultaneously going through each edit that I was being reminded, oh, in this book, there's all this gold that's going to get you through these, what seemed like too much. When I could say, oh, I'm going to practice what this wise woman in this book was saying. So she's got some good nuggets. Sometimes I wonder who wrote this, because you know what, moms, I just want you to know that I'm not perfect, and I don't have all that stuff down in the book, that I have to go back and remind myself to not try to do it all.
And that, I would have to say, is probably my favorite part of this whole process working with you, is the fact that you went back to your own writing to encourage yourself that you could do something. And that tells me the actual value, you know, the organic value of what you're writing, it actually works. And when I read it many times, I was like, man, I wished I'd known this. And so really it's an excellent book. It really is. It's not a long read, and you go through each of the sections pretty quickly, but what you get out of it is huge. So that was my favorite part, watching you encourage yourself with, you know, by reading it, and, you know, giving you the boost that moms need to get through. So that was awesome. So I wanted to ask you, what made you laugh? What part of the whole book or the process, or did you have to just kind of laugh and just kind of make you like, all right.
Yeah, gosh, it always seems like when you're getting ready to step into something new and bigger, the universe will just throw all these things at you to say. It almost feels like you're being tested. Like, oh, okay, you think you're ready for the big stage or whatever. Well, let's see if you can handle this. And it just seemed like as launch day approached, my own life was like kind of exploding, and they hear that God has a sense of humor, and it's I just had to stop and laugh and say, okay, you've got this, you have the tools, you wrote about it. And it was I was home visiting my family at the beginning of September, celebrating my dad's 90th birthday, and it was a time when everything in my personal life was just kind of erupting. And my mom handed me my own book because I had given her a copy. And she said, honey, when you're on that airplane, you need to read your book. And I said, okay. And I started reading it on I was at the airport early, so I started reading it. I'm sitting there with tears pouring down my face thinking, nobody's looking at. And I thought, it must look really funny, me sitting here like this, and people are like, huh? Wait, is that the same?
That's good. That's really special coming from your mom, because she's raised so many kids on her own. That that's great. That's really precious. And then I wanted to ask one more thing. What are you most proud of?
I am so proud of, here's my kids. I just want to say I'm proud of these guys, because they have made it through some really challenging times, and they have willingly offered, because at a certain point I'm writing and realizing, I'm publishing our story. And when I asked them, I thought, this project is going to come to a halt, because I'm going to ask them if I can share the story, and they're going to say, no way. But each of them, I spoke with each individual, and my oldest son is featured probably more prevalently, personally in the book. And I think his response was something like, it's your story, Mom, it's not mine. So whatever, but just, try to help moms not do what you did. I was like, I don't know how to take that, but I think in a way, there's also recognition in there that you have changed, and you go out there and help other moms, so they don't have to stay stuck in that, what I call monster mom phase, when everything's just being thrown at you. And I would it felt like on a daily basis, my temper would erupt, and I would look at my own self and say, how are you, the yoga teacher, the fitness person, why can't you control yourself? And I read the book, you'll see that you can be of service to others in a profession like wellness, and if it's not filling you up, I think I was just in a constant state of depletion.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Well, you have a lot to be proud of, and your kids are amazing. They really are.
Thank you.
They're beautiful, beautiful children. So it's been absolute joy working with you. It really has. It's been a real privilege, and I'm grateful to have been part of your journey.
And thank you.
And seeing this book. I want to give a copy to every mom I know.
Thank you, Karen.
I have a whole list. Literally, I got a whole list of them on this little sticky note, all the names of the moms I want to give a copy to. So it's
thank you.
It's really, really good. It's been a joy. Very good.
And I appreciate you taking time out of your day to
Thank you.
hop on and talk with us. And if you're watching, you can stay on. I'm gonna read some of my favorite. I'm just gonna show you the tabs. This book is. I'm gonna read some of my favorite quotes from the book. So
wonderful.
Continue staying on with us, and thank you so much, Karen. Have a great day.
Okay. Very good.
Bye. All right. So thank you to Karen Kilgore of Quantum Shift Media for joining us today on the You Are a Supermom book launch. And so this book, you can see this has so many tabs, because I love to one thing I love to do with books, especially more informative books like this that are kind of guidebooks, is I actually saw a review on Amazon. There's 7 of them up there if you haven't gone in to read them. And the mother that wrote the review actually said, since I've had the book, I have been in situations that were very challenging with my kids, and I've just opened the book to a page, which I just did, and what I needed to read was right there. And I love that. I do that with my Rumi book, which has tons of tabs in it too, my Essentials of Rumi. And I always get the right poem, just what I need to hear. So I'm going to read to you what I just opened to. And the subtitle in chapter 3, Being a Mom is Tough, this is the shift. Being a mom is enlightening. So I'm going to read to you from page 67 in the book. My kids are my greatest teachers. When I step down from the mom knows best pedestal and stop saying things like, because I said so, I began to see my sons and daughters as enlightened teachers. Each person is sent here for a mission of sorts. It is my job as a mom to ensure the safety of my children and to respect their unique purpose on the planet. In the authoritarian model of parenting, it's my way or the highway. When we try to raise our kids to fit into our image of an ideal child or fit them into our own box, we will encounter pushback from our kids. When we ask questions about our children's choices, we open the door for learning and discussion. When we raise our kids with respect, we listen, we ask questions, and even celebrate when their choices wander outside of our comfort zone, parenting becomes enlightening. So that is on page 67, Being a Mom is Enlightening. And I'd love to, if you're watching and you have a comment on that, or, it's like, that's not the way we were raised, right? Like our parents, it was always like, because I said so, and you just do it and you respect me. And, our kids today, they are really enlightened beings. And, if you're into, the idea of the soul and the soul, we write a contract of like, I am coming to the planet this time around to learn compassion or to, learn to handle difficult situations. And so that was a radical concept to me, 5 years ago. And when I heard it in a Wayne Dyer book, I was listening to a book on a drive to Indiana with my 3 kids. Woohoo! And it was such an opening to me that we come here with a purpose. And as parents, we really don't have any control over what our kids' purpose is here, but we do have love. And, I'm going to remove this because I'm not Karen Kilgore. So we do have love. And, this idea of unconditional love, I don't even understand that, because there's just love. There is only love. And when you are in those really hard situations, especially moms of teens and tweens, oh my gosh, their sole purpose, and that's an S-O-L-E, not S-O-U-L, their sole purpose at that age is to detach from you. And so they say mean things and they don't mean it. Remember I said hurt people. And so my mantra to give to you for if you are parenting a teenager or a tween is don't take it personally. And you will get through that phase. And if you lovingly embrace yourself and don't take the mean things that they say personally, and love yourself more today than you did the day before. It took me so long to get that, into my psyche and get that into my being. And it still hurts, when a teenager goes and shuts the door and they don't come out. But I want to say this, and this is just, it's an actual truth about your heart. Your heart resonates a frequency, a vibration that expands, I think it's 6 to 8 feet outside of your body. And so whatever you're feeling, whatever you're vibing with, you're projecting that out. Okay. So I'm projecting excitement. I'm projecting a lot of joy today. But you know what? If I get up and I'm angry and I'm stressed, my kids are going to feel that even before I say good morning. I don't know how it is, but a mother and a child's hearts are just, they're intertwined. They spent 9 months inside of you, literally connected to you. And so a mother's heart frequency, her vibration, is so strong and has such an impact on her children. And we can help our children more by pouring love into ourselves than trying to go around and fix everything for them. And I learned that hard lesson. My son used to run away for days at a time. And this was back when I thought the method of taking the phone away was a great form of punishment. And it was punishment to myself because I had no way of contacting him, and he would just flee, and I'd have no way to find him. And in those times, I would set up an altar at home, and I'd put pictures of him, baby pictures. And in my meditations, I would just simply send him love. And I was angry as hell, but I still managed to try to find that love. And you better believe when he came home, I wanted to unleash, and just, but you start to learn to love and not take things personally. And it has an effect. I don't know how, but it's heart frequency. You can go to Heart Math Institute and see that there's lots of research on this, that that our heart perceives things even before our brain. And similarly, what we project from our heart is felt, even before the thinking and the thoughts create the words that come out of our mouth. So with that, I want to do another random poll, okay, Gina's opening to the page. There's a tab here where I talk about divorce. If you're watching this and you have been through a divorce, somehow people do it amicably. And I'm baffled by that because my divorce was anything but amicable. And more power to you. If that was your situation, that's so amazing. Because I remember going to a co-parenting class, and there were about 30 people in the room, and everybody had all these happy stories about how they're co-parenting effectively. And I felt like I'm doing this all wrong. Why is my situation so difficult? And I think I met 2 people in the room that were in these really challenging situations where they were being alienated and criticized. But enough of that. Let me read the caption that I have brought up. So there's nothing pretty about divorce. I truly felt that I was acting in the best interest of my family. However, my former spouse was deeply hurt. And as the saying goes, I've said it many times, hurt people hurt people. I knew that the daily doses of arguing and observing more discord than harmony was not healthy for my kids. What I didn't anticipate were the years of unraveling and restructuring that it has taken to find our new normal. One thing that became quickly apparent was that daily home-cooked meals and a sparkling clean home were 2 things I would have to sacrifice in favor of taking care of myself. And I just want to pause there and say that if anybody had given me a reel and shown me this is what the next 4 years is going to look like. Okay, you're going to go to the courthouse, you're going to file paperwork and decide to get divorced, and now here's your life. I would have said, absolutely not. No way. I'm not doing that. Because the last 4.5 years have been some of the most challenging years of my entire life, because in that time I had a fledgling business. And so I'm trying to learn, how to crank the wheels in a business, keep money flowing in, and keep my vibe high so that nobody would, I felt like there was a period of time where I was deflecting business because I had this tone of desperation. I was desperate. I'm just going to come right out and say it. I was so desperate to keep my home, to keep my family afloat. And I'm on the phone with lawyers, and I have this defiant situation where I'm taking all my kids. At one point, all of us were in therapy, and it was just like, wait. At some point, I have to find a way to earn money, and sleep wasn't happening. I honestly, I don't know. I look back and I say, how the heck did you do it? And managed to stay healthy through it all. I never had a single sick day. I never had a day where I just put the covers over my head and said, I'm not coming out today because I had to. And you might be going through challenging, maybe it's relationships, maybe it's, a kid that is it feels like, it felt like for a time, like my son turned on me, and I did not like being around him. And those are tough situations because we love our kids. And don't get me wrong, I love my kid. But there was a period of time where I really didn't like him and I didn't want to be around him. And those were the times when I just fed myself with more love. And lest I leave out, I've talked a lot about raising teenagers, but I do want to say that this book is for moms of babies too. Babies, infants, toddlers. I've been there. And when I had babies and toddlers, I was, sometimes teaching 3 fitness classes a day, go, running myself into the ground, literally. I mean, I was teaching a class one day. I think my son was down in the daycare at Denver Athletic Club. And I literally the room started spinning around me. And that was vertigo. That was the start of my vertigo, which became to me my waving flag when I would get. After that, I had to be let out of the DAC, to go to the hospital on a stretcher. But that became like, oh, that is a warning sign that you're doing too much. So anytime I start to feel those spins, I know, okay, Gina, it's time to slow down. But I want to acknowledge that raising babies is a whole different thing. And if I had known when I had babies and toddlers that asking for help was really all I had to do, and being humble enough to do that. I'm trying to find the page where I talk about it, but being humble enough to say, you know what, I need help. I am going to do that because it's not putting them out. Because the thing I have learned about asking for help is there are some people that are just, they have the energy. They want to be of service. And we all go through seasons of life. And when I was going through my season of drought, I was so grateful to reach out to the people who were in their abundance and in their light, because the greatest gift that you can give, the giver of a gift, is to receive it wholeheartedly. And not be like, oh, I'm so indebted to you. Oh, how can I repay you? But to just say thank you. Just say thank you and receive it. And that feels so good. So I do want to pull out, because my partner, male, he read a chapter to me last night, or the beginning of a chapter, and he said, this is the most impactful chapter in the book, in my opinion. So I want to just read to you the first page of chapter 4. Myth number 4, being a mom is exhausting. How many of you said that? How many of you say that on a daily basis, right? So the myth buster is, being a mom can be exhilarating when you use your energy wisely and elicit help from others. The reality, setting healthy boundaries is key to managing your energy. Learning to say no leads to freedom. I would like to begin this chapter with a disclaimer. If you are the mother of an infant, then yes, being a mom can be exhausting. That is why in many countries in Europe, women take a year off to focus on caring for their babies. The first year, when you are yanked nightly from your sleep by a screaming infant, is taxing. Unfortunately, 6 to 12 weeks is the norm for maternity leave in the United States. It is insane to think that we can be thrown back into the workforce while still waking up multiple times a night with an infant and not be exhausted. With that said, I encourage new moms to ask for help. If your family lives elsewhere, ask your neighbors or friends, including church friends, to help you. You can even post a message on your neighborhood association's online board asking for a mother's helper to assist you around the house. So, and I'll tell you, I did not ask for help. Even in those days when I had a colicky baby and I had to get my son to preschool every day. Of course, there would have been a neighbor whose kid went to the preschool who would have happily picked him up every morning, but I didn't want to put anybody out. The other thing I didn't have early on was social media. I didn't have those ways where you can just post something and say, hey, I need a meal tonight. Like who's available? How lucky we are to have these ways of, Facebook groups. And I have a group on Facebook called Moms Thrive Tribe. If you're not already a member, or, somebody who's in the depths of struggle, I will be offering through my Moms Thrive Tribe group next week a Feel Like a Supermom During Challenging Times masterclass. Totally free. I'll be sharing my secrets in 20-minute live videos that you can go back and watch on your own time. But I will be doing that September 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th. And it will give you an opportunity to experience the book. And, you don't have to have a copy of the book, but I highly encourage ordering your copy because it's there. It's on Amazon. You can even get the Kindle version as well, and just have it on your phone. But I have to say, I've already showed you my copy of my book. It's got so many tabs because it's the kind of book that you're going to want to reference back. It's not just a read it and toss it aside kind of book. It's kind of like one of my favorite books of all time is The Big Leap. And I highly, highly, highly recommend that book. I read that book when I did my first business coaching experience 5 years ago with David, who I mentioned frequently in the book. And that book has so many earmarks, and the pages are heavily used. And I hope that this book becomes that for you, that it becomes a reference that always points the finger back at you. Because I think one way that parenting books and parenting guides, I have tons of them, what they do is they guide you here to, okay, if you just do X, Y, and Z, then you're going to get the perfect child. Or and I did all that. I still remember the day, when my last child left infancy, and I took that gigantic stack of Get Your Baby to Sleep books, and I write about that in the book, my funny story of reading sleep books and trying to get my kids to sleep. And I delivered all those books and put them in a box and sent them off to Goodwill and said, let somebody else have that struggle. And if I had spent as much time on nurturing myself as I did reading those books and trying to keep up with, what they said, I would have saved myself from so much crying and anguish, that feeling like I'm doing this wrong. I am not doing parenting right. And so the feedback that I'm getting from the early readers is that what they love, one thing that they love about the book is that it's not telling you how you're supposed to do it. It's really just guiding you back to you. And I will be offering programs, from after the free masterclass that are more experiential deep dives in a group situation where we can go in together and experience the tips, the tools that I offer. Because like I said, I read my own book when I need support. And it's just, the point being, this stuff you don't just read the book, say, oh, jing, I've got this. Now I'm a super mom. It takes time and guidance and support. And I have had guides. I've had a support team around me. I've had coaches, I've had therapists and friends and family that have nurtured and supported me through the most difficult times. And you're not a superhero or a super mom because you did it all by yourself. I'm going to say that again. You are not a super mom because you took the load on all by yourself. That's not what it is. the traditional supermom versus the supermom I'm talking about. So the traditional supermom, she is always there saying, yep, 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 I'll do it. Even when, even when she doesn't have the energy for it. The traditional supermom is, always perfectly coiffed. Remember June Cleaver? So you don't have to do that. Still have dignity and self-respect, but do you have to have it all together every single day? No. Is it okay to show up authentic and true and say, gee, being a mom sucks today? And I've had those days where every single one of my kids is hating on me. And what do? You give yourself more love. That's what you do. And you say, hey, they must be hurting today. What questions can I ask to better understand? Help me understand, why you're feeling, like you need to shout insults at me. I don't know if that's the best question, but yeah, I'm going to read to you. This book is full of quotes. Okay. I have a book I made last year. I didn't publish it or anything. It was part of a group that I ran, but it was called Quotes to Inspire Your Life. And what was so cool is that as I was writing the book, I was able to go back to Quotes to Inspire Your Life and use my own quotes. And I'd be writing and I'd say, oh, this is a good place to put this quote. And one of my favorite quotes is, yes, it's about the roller coaster. So in chapter 4, page 90, I talk about, motherhood becoming an adventure instead of something that's exhausting. So here's the quote. When motherhood is a big adventure, we can take the bumps in the road with greater ease. Life is a cosmic roller coaster. We can look down at the, oh shit, or we can rise to the butterflies in the tummy adventure. Let's enjoy the ride, moms. You guys like roller coasters? Who likes a roller coaster? Put a little happy face emoji. I don't like roller coasters. So when I went to Kings Island in Cincinnati, any Midwesterners know about Kings Island, and it was like a class trip. No, I think I went with my family first, and there was the roller coaster, the Beast, and it was like, oh, so scary. And I did ride it that day. I was so scared. The line was for 1 hour. And I just had this, it wasn't even butterflies. It was like, oh, I'm going to throw up. I can't believe I'm doing this. But you know what? Then I got on it and it was so much fun. So isn't it funny how we can build something up in our heads as moms? Like, oh my gosh, my kid's going to go to college, or my kid is going to preschool. And, oh, it's going to be so hard. And we make it up in our heads, like, I'm going to be so nervous about this. And what if instead we said, I can't wait to find out, or I can't wait to see how my son adapts to being on his own. And my son, he moved out on August 28th. And I don't hear from him a lot. And I'm so thrilled and I'm so excited to hear stories of how he has adapted to being on his own. And I let it be okay that my text messages go unanswered. And I let it be okay that he's not reaching out to me for support, because this is the natural process of parenting. We let the kids go. They're born, the umbilical cord is cut. And that is our first act of letting go as parents. And from there, they take their first step, snip. Oh boy, they're on their own, off to the races, running around. They go off to school for the first time, snip. You just let go a little bit more. They go to their first high school dance, snip. They're into the world of dating. There are so many places and times where as parents, we have to detach there's so much emotion, but if you can be excited instead of sad, like, and no judgment here, but I can remember how, like, dropping your kid off at kindergarten day, and there'd be like the cry station or something like that, where they were giving food and they had tissues, and I was always like, woo-hoo-hoo! Like, I'm sending my kid to school. Yes, I did it. And I was like, cry? What? Cry? Why? Like, this just means I get to come back to myself. And if you cried, that's totally fine. I think I cried when I first went to school. But after that, it was all like, yay, celebration. Because you know what, Mom, when you show up your healthy, vibrant self and you choose to live your dreams, your kids are going to see that, and they're going to want that, and they're going to embody that. And with that, I want to take just a moment. I wish I had a photo of my mom that I could just pop up and share really quick. I'm gonna try and see if I can do it seamlessly here. But my mom, just to give you some background on me, I am the youngest of 10 kids. And my mother is the original Supermom. She raised 10 children between the decades of, the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So 3 decades raising children. And one thing that I love about my mom is, she was that always, coiffed and looking perfect in pictures. And she demonstrated for me how to put yourself first. It wasn't about, let's see how many activities we can get Gina to. It was, Monday, it was tennis league. Tuesday, it was bowling. Wednesday, it was bridge club. And I was going around to those activities with her. It wasn't, let's take Gina to gymnastics and then dance class and then soccer. My team came, but it was when I was in school and there were activities offered, and I would, go and participate in those activities. And what I got to see was a happy, fulfilled woman living her life. Now, if I had been child number 5, I might have had a very different perspective. So, one of my siblings might see this recording and say, oh, Gina, you have no idea. But this is the lens that I saw my mother through. And I continue to see this vibrant 86-year-old woman who still is out there playing golf, playing tennis, even after a hip surgery, and celebrating the 90th birthday of her husband a few weeks ago, going to Chicago to a great nephew's wedding, and driving there. And people their age don't necessarily do those things. They're, usually less mobile. I'm so grateful to have, parents that modeled for me health and well-being. Now, I mean, they enjoy drinks, they enjoy sugar, but what I think is at the top of their list is they have this wide, expansive social network, and of all ages, and they just keep going. And I'm speaking, I have a super dad too, who supported all 10 of us children through Catholic school and college. And it's to me, it's unfathomable how my dad owned a business, ran a business, and supported all 10 of us. And they continue to be just, incredible role models. So I really wanted to spend some time acknowledging my mother and father, because Sharon and Paul Bosler are amazing. If you go to the acknowledgments are on the very back page, and I write an acknowledgement. They're the last ones on page 133 to my mom and to my dad. So you might not always read the acknowledgments in a book, thinking it's an afterthought, but do take some time to read those acknowledgments. And gosh, I had so many people supporting me through these years. And if I left anybody's name out, I know that I was reading through these and I thought, oh, I forgot to mention so-and-so. But above and beyond, I just want to read my acknowledgement to my children. Thank you to my children, Miles, Vienna, and Ian, who have courageously granted me permission to share our story, so we as a family may help light the way for others who are struggling to find peace and harmony at home. And boy, my kids are incredibly resilient. They have, experienced, I think their father has had 3 different homes in the last 4 years. I have moved in with my partner, so we're in a blended family situation, which has its own challenges as we adapt to each other. And that they've recently changed schools. They, have witnessed some pretty, awful things. And they also, haven't necessarily had a life where, I am able to get them into extracurricular activities because, when your finances are limited, you do what you can do. And they have creatively and expressively stepped through this journey with me. And I asked them, this morning, like, before you go to school, will you jump on and say what it's like to live with a supermom? and my son was like, well, first of all, I don't like being on Facebook. And I'm like, yep, I get that and respect that. And he's like, and I don't even know how I would answer that question. And I was like, well, what is it like to live with me? And he was like, well, I don't know what it's like to live without you. And I just thought, well, that is saying that, I was like, you know what, you're right. I have lived with you since June 23rd of 2010, and you don't know. So I just, the things that come out of kids' mouths is just so sweet. So I'm so grateful and blessed to also, I want to acknowledge my community of friends and supporters. And, thank you for being here on this live with me, or if you're watching the recorded version, thank you for being here and supporting me, and for getting a copy of the book. And, in those times where I was feeling less than confident, like, when I didn't want to put the book out there, somebody's been there to say, keep going. You can do this. When I, felt like the whole world is falling apart around me, it was always, keep going. We're here for you. What kind of support do you need? When I had my knee surgery in June, it's like, oh gosh, I'm in an active profession. I'm not going to be able to work for a while. And, to have the support of my partner, through that time, and to have people reaching out to me, asking, can I bring a meal by while you're recovering from surgery? My initial response was, oh, I can do this. And that first night I cooked dinner 3 days after having surgery, and I was exhausted after it. I was like, I'm taking the help. I'm going to use, the advice that I give in my book. So, the message there is, moms, it is not a sign of weakness to ask for help. It is actually a mark of strength. So I have about 10 minutes left on this feed, and I just wanted to take the opportunity to actually share. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share the page where you can go. So share my screen, and I'm just going to show you the Amazon page so that you know what it looks like if you're interested in getting a copy of the book. So here I go to share that with you. All right, so this is the page, and if I think it's just so touching to read the reviews. There are at this point 7 5-star reviews, and gosh, I thank you for the reviews. Thank you for the comments. So that's the page. You Are a Supermom. You can find it on Amazon and Barnes and Noble as well. But really, I say this, help me become a bestseller. And that you do by, encouraging people to buy a copy today. And that will help me move this message into, larger audiences, because like I said, it's not about me putting me in the limelight. It's about helping moms rise. That is my mission. That is my goal, is that we women will step into our divine feminine and flourish. Because if you've all heard the saying, okay, when mama's not happy, nobody's happy. It really is true. When we allow ourselves to receive and step into our fullness in loving all aspects of ourselves, that is when we shine our light and everything around us flourishes. It's like the plant in the house. Like everybody's heard of talking to the plant, and you're sending love vibrations basically to that living being. And so you have that power in your family, in your living situation, to shift energy just by your being. It's not by your doing. By your being, you are more powerful than by your doing. There's another quote. I don't know. I just came up with that. But by your being, what did I just say? I'll go back and listen to it. By your being, you are actually doing more than if you were sitting there checking off items on your list of things to do. So today, be more, so that your actions have more potency, right? And I hope that you have found that this time valuable to spend with me, and share the feed with a friend. I'm going to go through and in the comments, I'm going to just post some of the highlights. So if people want to just kind of scroll ahead to certain parts of this book launch. And thank you for being a presence here on this feed today. And I would love to see any questions. I will look through the comments and answer questions that you might have about the book writing process, or about, maybe you want to write a book, and how'd you do it? And then if you live in Denver or in the Denver area, and you want to attend the book launch this evening, I will, in the comments, I'll put information about that, but at Blackbird Public House in Denver, 305 South Downing Street. It's at the intersection of Downing and Alameda. I am hosting a book launch live, where you can actually come pick up a copy, and I will sign that book for you. Music by Wild Faith, great guitar player. So there'll be music for the first half hour, and just meet and greet. You can get yourself a Supermom cocktail if you want. And I'm going to have a cake and just some appetizer type food. And what else? There'll be an author Q&A. Karen, my publisher, will be there. My friend Marta will be emceeing the event. And my daughter's going to help run the credit cards at the book station. It's a big group event. Oh, and we're going to have a trivia game, and there will be prizes for the winner. And I have some good prizes. So if you're in the Denver area, plan on meeting up at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Blackbird Public House. And gosh, what else? I think I want to end with this tab that says self-care is sticking out to me right now. So I'm going to read it, because I know as a woman who coaches women in the area of wellness, we tend to put ourselves last on the totem pole. And so here's the quote that I opened to. You say you have too many balls in the air. It never slows down, Mom, until you decide to make the commitment to yourself. When you prioritize self-care, balls that once seemed so important fall to the ground. And eventually your life becomes more manageable, because you are in better control of yourself. And it is true. It probably one of the hardest things is letting go of that ego hit that you get when you have 20 checks on a list and say, yeah, I did it all. But if you go back and you listen to that interview that I did with Lori earlier, that was about 45 minutes into the feed, you will hear her talking about her biggest takeaway. And that takeaway was, it's learning to recognize how I feel. And at the end of the day, celebrating that I feel joy instead of I got a whole bunch of things done. So it's the feeling, not the doing. And if there's one message that you take from the book, it's that putting yourself in what the law of attraction type circles say is putting yourself in that high vibration state is the greatest service that you can give to the world and to humanity. And disclaimer, it's okay to feel rotten. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to rage. Love yourself in those moments too. That's what that means. Okay. I don't expect everybody to be like, woohoo, it's a great day. It's totally okay to be in your depression. It's okay to feel the way you feel. Just love and nurture yourself. Don't make yourself wrong. I did that for so long, and I didn't realize until very recently, within about a year ago, I was listening to a Matt Kahn spiritual YouTube video. And he said, self-love is about meeting yourself as you are, where you are. And until you learn to love and embrace the challenges that you're experiencing in your life, and to love and embrace the anger, the fear, the whatever you're feeling, it will perpetuate. So wrap yourself, just take your arms right now, deep breath in, give yourself a hug and say, today, I love myself more than I did the day before. And just hold that in your heart that you are love. And there's no such thing as unconditional love, because there just is love. And be that light, be that beacon. And I invite you to, if you haven't already, pick up your copy of You Are a Supermom on Amazon, and recommend the book to your friends. And I have all kinds of posts on my social media feed. If one strikes you, share that to your feed and maybe tag some friends that you really think could benefit from this book, which I think is every mom, but maybe there's a mom who's really going through some difficult times, and tag her on the post and recommend it, because I know for me, I buy books that my friends recommend to me. I don't necessarily get on and start reading reviews on Amazon. If a friend recommends it to me, I just go. And sometimes not even friends, people in Facebook groups might recommend a book to me, and I just do it. And I so appreciate your support. And I had no idea how I would fill up 2 hours, but here 2 hours have gone by, and I feel so full. And thank you so much for sharing your love. And I love you all. And if you're not already a member of Moms Thrive Tribe, you can go on over to the Facebook group and join me, again, announcing the Feel Like a Supermom Masterclass, which will be taking place in the Moms Thrive Tribe group next week, for free 20-minute video experiences of how to feel like a supermom. So thank you so much. You are a blessing, and thank you for your support. And have a wonderful September 21st. And, I picked this date because it's right between the full moon, which was yesterday, and the fall equinox, which is tomorrow. And I just thought that feels like power. So I'm very much into aligning with energies, and just feel the power of this day. It is a beautiful day. And thank you so much. I'm Gina Fontaine signing off. Namaste.